Okay, so good morning. I'm Jose Suk, and I'm a lecturer here in the School of Computing and Communications. And I'm also a member of the Security Lancaster Research Center. And today I will talk about part of my research, and in particular about the challenges for developing next generation privacy controls for social networking services. So as you may know, the benefits that social networking services provides to their users are huge. Apart from being an entertainment and a leisure time activity, it allows users to establish, develop, and maintain social relationships, and plays a very important role to build and maintain that social capital of users. But also, it gives them the possibility of building communities and networks of people who share similar interests and activities. And all of this has caused an explosive growth in the number of users. And for instance, Facebook recently achieved 1 billion active users, which is a huge amount of users. And indeed, we have figures of 2 years ago about UK internet users, and 60% of them were members of a social networking site. So also, social media and social networking services provide value for businesses, because it's a way of engaging in direct end consumer contact and at a relatively low cost, which indeed is very interesting for all businesses, regardless of their size. Okay, so indeed, as of 2011, 70% of UK-based businesses stated that social media in general was part of their budget for online marketing. So even governments and politicians are using this social media, and for instance, the UK government ICT strategy promotes civil servants to use these technologies and provides them with guidance for how to use them. And another example is the role that these technologies played in the election of Obama in the States. But despite all of these benefits and value that these technologies provide, there are many concerns associated to these technologies, and one of the most important is privacy. And most users indeed state that they are very concerned about their privacy when using these technologies. And in particular, we'll focus in this talk on privacy controls. And there are surveys that in which users state that privacy controls of current mainstream social media are too complicated to configure and time-consuming. They have many privacy controls to configure. For instance, in Facebook, you've got something around 60 different privacy controls that you need to set, and you need to do this considering a huge amount of friends. And you might need to do it specifically for each of the items that you share. And also, these privacy controls are usually deemed not to be enough to protect users' privacy. So this has led to many incidents in which the privacy of users has been compromised. There are many examples. One of them could be people that lost their jobs due to the inappropriate posting of information in Facebook, but there are others, such users being cyberbullied or have lost court cases, etc. So it has been widely acknowledged in the related literature that a paradigm shift is needed for next generation privacy controls. So currently research is moving towards giving more importance to user social relationships, because indeed it's very related, social relationships and to whom you're willing to share information, and this is deemed to be important in order to make these privacy controls more intuitive for the users. But also it's very important to reduce the burden on the users, to set the privacy controls. And there's also another problem about items that involve more than one user, that current privacy controls do not support a collective way of setting these items. So I will talk a bit about all of this, but in a general way, okay? But I will be here, so if anyone just wants to know more about any of this, please to talk to me. So the first thing I would like to talk about is a new access control paradigm that has emerged in just 2 or 3 years ago, that tries to make privacy controls more intuitive by considering, when setting these privacy controls, the relationship that the user that owns or uploads an item and the user that wants to access that item. And in particular, these access control models consider the type of relationships that the users have or the communities in which they participate, but also the strength of the relationships. Okay, so they consider things like who are your family, who are your friends, who are your work colleagues, but also who are your closest friends, in order to be easier to set these privacy controls. And the idea is to get to something like this, that the users are able to say, okay, I want that only my close friends can see this photo. Okay, that seems quite intuitive to set this access control. But the problem is that users can have many friends. The average Facebook user has 140 friends. So this is indeed, it could be a burden on the user to classify all the friends based on the relationship type or the relationship strength. So research is now ongoing to produce tools like this one, in which I participated in the design. It's a Facebook application, and it's able to gathering the information from Facebook, and is able to predict to some extent, 80% accuracy, the relationships among users and their strength. Okay? So indeed, although it is not 100%, it can reduce the burden on the users to classify their friends. Okay? So apart from research on this kind of tools, there is also the question of, okay, we've got this information about the user relationships and the strengths, but what is the best way to present this information to the users to make this setting of privacy controls more easier? So also, apart from this is about how to best organize users' friends and their relationships to be able to set the privacy controls for items. The other problem is about the number of items that users have. So the average Facebook user, for instance, uploads 22 photos. So even if we reduce the burden on the user about classifying friends, there is another burden, that is the number of times the user needs to set the privacy controls for different items that he uploads. So another research path or field that is emerging, and we're also contributing to this, is to learn user preferences using some learning algorithms to be able to find a good enough trade-off between the number of items the user needs to set the privacy controls and the accuracy that the privacy controls will have to recommend the settings for for newly uploaded items. So indeed the challenge is to be able to do this with the less number of items set by the user. Okay. And finally, I would also like to talk about this problem of items that involve more than one user. And there are many examples of this. Photos that depict a different user, or comments that contain explicit references to other users. So the problem is that items that involve many different users, the problem is that these users that are involved in this shared item, they can have different privacy preferences for that item. So the point is that there can be conflicts. And what do we do with these conflicts? So current privacy controls do not provide any support for that. Indeed, in Facebook, for instance, if you just get tagged in a photo, what you can do is to try to modify your privacy controls on that photo, or even to untag yourself from that photo. But this does not prevent in any way that the user that uploads, for instance, the photo, effectively shares this with people you don't want. So, and there is there is not any support for trying for the users to agree on a common privacy setting for this item that is indeed affecting all of them. So, well, what you can do is just to talk to your friend and say, okay, please just could you please or remove this photo, or just change a bit your settings so that this photo, I would prefer that this photo is not seen by, okay, but this indeed is time consuming, and it can be also a burden on the user because of the number of conflicts that you may have, and for each item. So indeed what we are working on are ways of somehow automating the detection of conflicting preferences, and try to propose solutions that can be accepted by the users involved. We are basing for this in automated negotiation technologies to do this in an automated way, but of course this would be again kind of recommendation that the users finally could accept or not. So that's it. Thank you for your attention, and of course, if you've got any question or you would like more details in any of the things I just mentioned, please talk to me.